Hi, so this is our introduction to cajon technique. Now this is assuming you've never played cajon or you haven't had anybody kind of show you the ins and outs. There's a couple of real simple things that are going to serve as your base for your flamenco journey as a flamenco percussionist. So there are two basic sounds you want to get, a snare and a bass. Now both of these require you to be pretty relaxed. Now when I say relaxed, I mean maybe sitting up about how I'm sitting now, but relaxing the shoulders all the way through the arms, wrists, and hands. So you don't want to hold any unnecessary tension. We're really working on developing those fast twitch fibers in our muscles so that we can really hit with clarity and volume, but without having to use too much range of motion. We want to keep it small. So there's a couple of exercises we can do, and we're going to get into that. But first, let's talk about the two major sounds you want to do. So snare, basically all I'm doing is letting my hand rest on the edge of the cajon as I hit it, and the fingers flap down and hit the surface here. So it makes a good snare sound, like so. That's a good snare sound right there. So you don't want to hold the hand rigid, you want to let everything almost like a rag doll. So it's not just moving the wrist and it's not just the arm like so, but it's all of those things together. This is an exaggeration, but it's that kind of idea, almost like a wave. I'm not going to throw the elbow too much into it, but it's involved, okay? Same thing on the other side. Now for that snare, you want to make sure you get a really clear sound, and eventually it's going to be the major sound that you're going to be using to accompany. Bass you'll use quite a bit, but for major accents you don't want to overuse the bass sound, because then all of a sudden everything starts sounding like cajon bass and it kind of tramples on everything else that's happening musically. So we want to be careful about that. That said, let's learn how to do the bass. So the bass is basically the same as the snare, but you want to make sure you get down low enough so you don't hear a lot of snare, or if any, in the bass sound. So you want it to sound like a thud as opposed to the crack sound of the snare. Now technique for this is the same. Only thing I'm going to change is I'm going to elongate my fingers just a little bit so that my hands aren't like this cupped, but a little bit longer. I'm not holding a lot of tension in my hand, but I'm just extending the fingers a bit. Also, I'm taking this thumb here and pulling it up, pulling it back to about the same level as the palm. The reason I do this is because you want to get a nice, evenly distributed hit from your palm, so you're not getting extra sounds. So I'm not having the thumb hit before the palm and getting some dirtier sounds. We want to get a nice clean thud. So it's kind of like, almost like pancaking your hand on the cajon. Not forcefully, but with just a little bit of engagement of the hand. Everything else is loose. Okay, so snare, bass. Snare, bass. Now let me give you a few exercises you can use. First, let's develop our snare sounds, and I'll give you a speed drill. So this is all alternating hands, and it sounds kind of like a military beat. This is not really something you'd use in flamenco, but it's just an exercise. So equating it to something like scales if you're a guitarist. So what I'm going to do right now is just you can try that on both sides. So now you want to test and see how fast you can go and still stay rhythmically clean. And once you reach that point where you can't really get it clean anymore, take it down a notch or two and see how long you can keep that speed going. And each time you'll find that you're getting a little bit better. The more I can keep everything working here with volume but smaller without bringing my arm up too much, the better, the more efficient I am as a percussionist. So relaxation is key. So doing that a little bit faster, or even faster. Like so. Now we can learn to do double hits with the same pattern. I'm going to do 1 2 1 2. So I'm going to go right right left left right right left left. And you want to do that starting with both hands. So I'll do some over and over on the right side, then some over and over on the left side. Next thing we want to be able to do is to go easily between a snare and a bass sound without getting somewhere in between to where we get a dirty sound. You want it to be clearly a bass or clearly a snare sound. So you can do just an exercise that's very simple like this. Both sides. Okay? And then just take it up to speed. Figure out what your limit is, and then, like I said, take it down a couple notches and see if you can keep it there for a while at that highest potential speed that you can get to without playing dirty. Now you can also do, for coordination's sake, bass, bass, snare, snare. So that's right, left, or if you're left-handed, the other way. Like so. Take it slow at first and build upon that. So that's basic cajon technique. We'll be discussing different places you can play on the cajon that are not your traditional sounds, but you can get some nice alternative sounds in other studies. So study hard, and we'll see you next time.